When an excited young boy boards his very first flight, he's brimming with joy. But a shocking decision by an air hostess changes everything. What happens next will leave you speechless. Jamal was only 9 years old and thrilled to be boarding his first ever airplane. His mother, a single parent, had saved for years to make this special trip happen. They were flying to visit Jamal's grandmother, whom he hadn't seen since he was a toddler. Clutching his boarding pass tightly, Jamal couldn't stop smiling as he asked questions about the plane and marveled at the sight of the giant aircraft through the terminal window. As they boarded, Jamal couldn't contain his excitement. Softly, exclaiming to his mother how big the plane was and how he couldn't wait to feel it take off. His enthusiasm caught the attention of other passengers, many of whom smiled warmly at the boy's innocent joy. But not everyone shared the sentiment. Lead air hostess Clara had been having a bad day. A last-minute schedule change had forced her to work this flight, and she wasn't in the mood for what she considered disruptions. When Jamal eagerly asked her if he could see the cockpit before takeoff, she scowled. "No, you need to—" "Sit down and be quiet," she snapped, her tone cutting. Jamal's smile faltered, but he quietly obeyed, taking his seat beside his mother. Despite her son's compliance, Clara continued to glare at them throughout the boarding process. When Jamal excitedly pointed out the safety card to his mother and began mimicking the instructions, Clara suddenly approached. "This behavior is unacceptable," she announced loudly. "You're disturbing the other passengers." Confused and embarrassed, Jamal's mother tried to defend him. "He's just excited. It's his first flight." But Clara was unwavering. "If you can't control him, you'll both need to leave the plane," she said coldly. Jamal's eyes filled with tears as he clutched his mother's hand. Other passengers began murmuring, some visibly upset by the hostess's actions. One elderly woman nearby spoke up. "He's not bothering anyone. He's just a child enjoying his first flight. Let them stay." Clara ignored the protests and summoned security, forcing Jamal and his mother to deplane. Heartbroken, they sat in the terminal, unsure of how they would make it to Grandma's house. Jamal's mother tried to comfort him, but tears streamed down his face. "Why didn't she like me, Mama?" he asked softly. Word of the incident quickly spread. Several passengers who had witnessed it shared their outrage on social media, and within hours the story went viral. Clara's behavior was condemned as cruel and unnecessary, with hashtags like #Justice for Jamal trending worldwide. The airline, now facing immense backlash, launched an investigation. Clara was suspended, and the airline's CEO personally reached out to Jamal's family to apologize. They arranged a private flight for Jamal and his mother, ensuring they would finally make it to Grandma's house in style. On the day of their rebooked flight, Jamal was greeted at the airport with fanfare. Pilots invited him into the cockpit, teaching him about the controls and even letting him sit in the captain's seat. Passengers cheered as Jamal boarded the plane, and the airline presented him with a certificate marking his first flight as a VIP experience. As for Clara, karma had indeed struck. The airline's investigation revealed a pattern of rude behavior in her past. She was fired and publicly shamed for her actions. In her statement, she admitted, "I let my frustrations get the better of me, and I deeply regret my actions." Jamal, however, chose to move forward. When asked about the experience later, he said, "I was sad, but a lot of kind people helped me. It showed me that even when someone is mean, there are more people who want to be nice." Jamal's first flight may not have started the way he dreamed, but it ended as a celebration of kindness and resilience. It became a story that reminded everyone of the power of standing up for what's right and treating others with compassion. Jamal's story didn't end with that flight. It sparked something bigger. The kindness shown to him inspired his mother to take action. She decided to start a community initiative called Wings of Kindness, aimed at providing first-flight experiences for underprivileged children. The program partnered with local charities and airlines to give kids the same opportunity Jamal had once dreamed of, a chance to see the world from the sky and feel valued. The initiative gained traction quickly. Families, corporations, and even Airline employees volunteered their time and resources to make these experiences special. Pilots and flight attendants often stepped up to guide children through the process, ensuring they felt welcomed and celebrated. Jamal became the unofficial face of the program, sharing his story to inspire others. Meanwhile, Clara's experience served as a cautionary tale in the airline industry. Her actions sparked a wider discussion about the importance of empathy and training for airline staff. Many airlines began implementing new programs to teach employees how to handle situations with compassion and sensitivity, especially when dealing with children or first-time flyers. Jamal's next flight experience was filled with joy and wonder, just as it should have been. This time, his excitement was met with encouragement, not disdain. He even began dreaming of becoming a pilot one day, inspired by the kindness of those who had turned his sadness into something extraordinary. Years later, when Jamal earned his pilot's license, he became a living testament to resilience and the transformative power of kindness. On his first flight as captain, he invited a group of children from Wings of Kindness to join him, ensuring that their first flight would be one they'd never forget. Jamal's journey became a global symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest acts of empathy can ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never fully understand. And as he soared through the skies, Jamal carried with him not just his dreams, but the dreams of every child who had ever looked up at an airplane and imagined endless possibilities. Jamal's story continued to inspire as he grew older, touching lives far beyond his original experience. Wings of Kindness flourished, becoming a worldwide movement. Airlines from multiple countries adopted similar initiatives, providing free flights and educational programs for underprivileged children. Jamal, now an adult, often spoke at events, advocating for kindness and equity in the aviation industry. His speeches were powerful, not just because of his personal story, but because they emphasized a universal truth. A single moment of empathy could change a life. "That flight could have been the end of my dreams," Jamal once said at a conference. Instead, it became the beginning of something much bigger. People stood up for me when I needed it most, and now I want to make sure no child feels unwelcome, in a space that should inspire them. Jamal's determination led to the establishment of scholarships for children interested in aviation careers. These programs helped countless young people from marginalized communities pursue their dreams of becoming pilots, engineers, and even airline executives. Many of the graduates credited Jamal's story for inspiring them to believe in their potential, even when the odds were stacked against them. Meanwhile, Clara's life took a different turn. After losing her job, she spent years reflecting on her actions. The public backlash had been harsh, but it pushed her to confront her behavior and seek change. She began volunteering at local shelters and working with programs that supported underprivileged families. Through this work, she began to understand the struggles that many children like Jamal faced and the importance of treating everyone with dignity. Years later, Clara reached out to Jamal. She wanted to apologize face to face. Nervously, she attended one of his speaking events and waited to speak with him afterward. When she finally approached, she admitted her regret and asked for forgiveness. Jamal, true to his nature, forgave her without hesitation. "We all make mistakes," he said. "What matters is that we learn from them and use our second chances to make things right." Their reunion became a moment of healing and closure. For both of them, Clara began actively supporting Wings of Kindness, using her platform to advocate for better training in customer service and diversity awareness in the airline industry. Her story became a reminder that even those who falter can find redemption through accountability and positive action. Jamal's career as a pilot reached new heights when he was invited to captain the inaugural flight of a new airline dedicated to inclusivity and accessibility. The airline named one of its planes the Jamal Spirit in his honor, a tribute to his resilience and the movement he had inspired. As the years went on, Jamal remained a beacon of hope, continuing to soar, both literally and figuratively. He often reflected on that pivotal moment from his childhood, not with anger but with gratitude for the kindness of strangers who had stood by him when he needed it most. In the end, Jamal's story became a testament to the idea that compassion, Resilience and forgiveness can transform even the darkest experiences into something beautiful. It reminded the world that every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the potential to lift someone up and perhaps help them fly. Jamal's legacy only grew stronger as he entered his 30s. By then, Wings of Kindness had expanded into over 30 countries, with partnerships not only with airlines but also schools, youth programs, and advocacy groups. The initiative evolved to include mentorship programs for children interested in aviation, technology, and leadership roles, giving them a clear path toward achieving their dreams. Jamal himself became a global ambassador for education and opportunity, frequently meeting with world leaders, CEOs, and educators to discuss ways to bridge the gap for disadvantaged youth. His story was even adapted into a best-selling book, Taking Flight, From the Ground Up, which was later turned into a film. The movie not only highlighted Jamal's struggles and triumphs, but also celebrated the everyday heroes who had stood up for him and transformed his life. It became an instant hit, inspiring millions to think about how their own actions could make a difference. One particularly memorable moment in Jamal's journey came during an international aviation summit, where he was honored with an award for humanitarian efforts. To his surprise, the event included a tribute from some of the children he had helped over the years. They shared how his work had changed their lives, with one saying, "Captain Jamal gave me wings when I thought I'd never leave the ground." The audience gave him a standing ovation, and Jamal, overcome with emotion, promised to continue fighting for a future where every child had the chance to thrive. Meanwhile, Clara's transformation became a story of redemption that paralleled Jamal's success. As a key supporter of Wings of Kindness, she became a vocal advocate for kindness in customer service and the importance of treating all passengers with respect. Her talks often included her own mistakes as a cautionary tale, and her willingness to own her past made her a respected figure in the movement. One day, Clara and Jamal found themselves co-hosting an event celebrating the 10th anniversary of Wings of Kindness. Standing on the stage together, Clara expressed her gratitude for Jamal's forgiveness and spoke about how meeting him had changed her life. "He didn't just forgive me," she said. "He showed me that it's never too late to make things right and be part of something greater." Jamal smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We all have the power to grow," he said to the crowd. "And when we grow together, we can create something extraordinary." As time went on, Jamal's influence extended beyond aviation. He began collaborating with organizations addressing poverty, education inequality, and systemic discrimination. Through it all, he remained humble, often saying, "I'm just a boy who wanted to fly. Everything else is a gift." Jamal's story became a fixture in classrooms, inspiring countless young people to embrace kindness, stand up against injustice, and pursue their dreams despite obstacles. He lived by the belief that everyone deserves a chance to rise above their circumstances and that even the smallest acts of empathy can set someone on a life-changing path. When Jamal eventually retired as a celebrated pilot, he didn't slow down. Instead, he devoted himself fully to philanthropy, spending his days mentoring young people and advocating for a world where no child would ever feel unwelcome. In his final years, Jamal reflected on his life with gratitude. He had soared higher than he ever dreamed possible, not just because of his own resilience, but because of the countless people who had chosen kindness when it mattered most. As he often said, "It's not about the flight you take, it's about the people who help you lift off." Jamal's name became synonymous with hope, compassion, and the belief that anyone, no matter their background, could rise above the clouds. And through his story, generations would continue to learn that even when the world seems unkind, the power to change it begins with one small act of love. Jamal's influence continued to ripple across the globe, leaving a legacy that felt boundless. As he aged, his role as a mentor and advocate for children only deepened. Though he had retired from piloting, his presence was still felt in the skies. Every time a child boarded a plane sponsored by Wings of Kindness, Jamal's story was shared with them, a reminder that dreams could take flight even in the face of adversity. One of the most significant milestones came when Jamal partnered with the United Nations to launch a global campaign called Soaring Together. This initiative aimed to provide resources for education, mental health support, and access to technology in underserved regions worldwide. Jamal traveled to remote villages, urban centers, and everywhere in between, continuing to meet children and families whose lives had been touched by his work. At one memorable event in a small African village, a young girl approached him shyly, clutching a drawing of an airplane. "I want to be like you someday," she whispered. Jamal knelt down and smiled warmly. "You can be anything you dream of," he told her. "All you need is the courage to start and the kindness to lift others along the way." The girl's face lit up with determination, and Jamal knew that she too would soar. As Jamal entered his later years, the world honored his contributions in countless ways. Schools and airports were named after him, documentaries chronicled his journey, and statues were erected in his honor. Yet, Jamal remained humble. When asked about the accolades, he often said, "The real reward is knowing that the world has a little more kindness because of what we've done together." Clara, too, continued her advocacy work. She and Jamal forged a close friendship, often collaborating on initiatives and appearing together at events. Their shared mission became a powerful symbol of forgiveness and growth, showing that even the most unlikely connections could lead to transformative change. On Jamal's 80th birthday, a massive celebration was held to honor his life's work. People from all walks of life attended: former beneficiaries of his programs, airline executives, world leaders, and everyday individuals who had been inspired by his story. Children performed songs and skits about his journey, while a flight simulator let kids experience the joy of piloting a plane for the first time. Toward the end of the evening, Jamal took the stage. The room fell silent as he spoke, his voice steady and full of emotion. "When I was a little boy, I thought flying was about escaping the ground, but as I've grown, I've realized that flying is about lifting others. Every single one of us has the power to do that, no matter where we start or how high we've climbed." He paused, looking out at the crowd, a mix of faces, young and old, from every corner of the globe. "Thank you," he said, "for believing in me, for standing by me, and for carrying this dream forward. Together, we've proven that kindness is the strongest force on earth, and it can lift us higher than we ever imagined." The audience erupted into applause, tears shining in many eyes. Jamal's words resonated deeply, not just as a reflection of his journey, but as a call to action for generations to come. In the years that followed, Jamal's legacy endured. Wings of kindness continued to grow, and the children he had once inspired became leaders in their own right, carrying forward his mission of compassion and opportunity. Long after Jamal's time on Earth, his story remained a beacon of hope, reminding the world that even the smallest gestures of love could create ripples that reach the skies. Jamal had not just taken flight, he had helped the world soar.